Today, I want to talk about the problem with the lack of black relationships that are increasingly becoming prevalent in the community. You know, when I sit back and I watch these content creators, and from what I'm seeing from the black YouTube sector, from what I am seeing is I'm seeing these content creators pointing the fingers. And what I mean by that is when they speak on the topic of the failure of black relationships, you will have the female content creators point fingers at the man. You will have the male content creators, they'll point fingers at the women. And they're pointing fingers at each other so much that it's gotten to a point now to where one just want to get the last word over the other. The conversation has become childish. And just like anything else that's childish, it gets nowhere. Now, I'm going to put out this disclaimer. And that is that when in this video, when I put out my thoughts about it, I'm not just talking about the women. I'm also talking about the men. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another video speaking on the man, because I'm telling you, like, this conversation has become a mockery on YouTube. It's laughable. It is laughable. And not neither side can come together, look in the mirror, and just point what problems they themselves individually in amongst their group, as far as males and females, they can't point out the faults that they need to work on. Again, they're too busy pointing fingers. And if you want to know why you have this photo right here, where it is asking that is asking if you are a narcissist. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why I put this photo in this video. And this photo, well, in the subject of narcissism, I'm gonna show you how black men and black women have taken this personality, and they have become so immune, so adjacent to this personality, that they don't realize that this is a symptom of slavery. Now, I know y'all saying to yourselves, like, this is one of those videos where he's gonna blame racism, but you have to hear me out now, because in a way, I'm gonna tell you, when you listen to the video, you're probably gonna say to yourself, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, when you read all of these common traits of a narcissist. You can take these and place it on the lap of a single mother, a woman, and not just a single mother, but as a woman just single. You could place this on her lap and explain to her how she, as an individual, match most of these traits. Now again, I'm gonna do a video on. I'm gonna do the same video, but it's going to the main subject of the video, of that video, is going to be about the man. So don't you worry. It will be a part 2 to this video. But today I'm going to focus on the women. You have a lot of these women who are single. And if you ask them, if you walk up to them and ask them what problems they had in the past, in their past relationships, what problems did they experience in their past relationships, if you let them tell it, and this is the majority of women, if you let them tell it, they're going to make it seem as if it's the man's fault. Now, there are some stories out there where you do have the man. It is the fault of the man on the reason why her relationship didn't last with him. And again, for the third time, I'm going to do a video on the man. The next video is going to be about the man. Don't you worry. We're focused on the women. But again, majority of the women they're going to explain to you that the reason why their relationships didn't last with this guy is because of the guy. Now, when you sit back and you know this woman, you know this woman because you live next to her, or you hang around her, she's just one of your best friends, or even if you work with her. If you sit back and watch her on a daily basis, you're going to pick up a lot of traits that's on this list about her. And the longer you know her, the worse it's going to get. But see, most people overlook all that. They don't sit back and say, it's no wonder why your relationship didn't last. It's because of you. They don't say that. They don't look that far into it. But if you watch how these women move, how they operate, how they interact, you're going to realize that they all, for the most part, have what is called a narcissistic personality. I mean, you see it every day. They're always right. You're always wrong. If you as a man try to figure out how you want something done, they're not only going to overtalk you, but they're going to talk to you as if you don't know no better. And then whatever response they give you, they're going to gaslight it to a point to where you're going to believe that what they're saying makes sense. In reality, what you're trying to do is actually, it makes more sense than what she's saying. Like, let's look at number 2. Entitlement or superiority. I mean, you have these women on YouTube, and what they have done is they have pushed out this narrative that the men in their tribe are at the bottom when it comes down to any economic achievement, educational achievement, or just anything. They have pushed out a narrative to where their man of their tribe, which is the black man, are at the bottom. And see, most people, they look at that, and the only thing they can call out is the fact that the women are talking down about black men. That's all they talk about, but they don't go into the deep. They don't go into the hidden agenda behind it. Because there could be two different reasons. This is my opinion. There could be two reasons behind this. One reason why I believe that black women do this within these platforms is because black women, see, for the most part, black women have learned the art of war. They've learned strategy. So I'm saying that because I'm gonna go back to the answer of the question. For one, women, they have pushed out this narrative. It's because they know that if they continue to push this narrative, no other race of women is going to want to deal with you as a man. And because no other race of women want to deal with you as a man, you're not going to have no choice but to stay in the corner and just wait for these women, which is the black woman, to come to you. See, that's one strategy that you could look at it. And it's a strategy that they have created. If they push out this image to where black men are just nothing, they're worthless, other races of women, they're going to hear that and they're not going to want to deal with you. They're not. They're not going to want to deal with you. And the reason why these women go out there and they push this image out is because it's you have to understand, it's what they are doing is they know that they're at the bottom of the dating pool. They know they're at the bottom of the dating pool. So what they are doing is they're doing what most humans do. They are trying to gather as much resources in order to survive. And to gather those resources, they have to be more. They have to strategize as if it's a war. Because they know that when it comes down to interracial relationships amongst the black community, these women know that black men have more of a success rate than they do. They know this. They know this. But at the same time, they also know that they hold the status of being the most unwed. And because of that, they know that it's going to be more competitive trying to get a guy within their race to get with, to start a relationship with. They know they hardly have any chance of dating outside their race. So what they do is they put out this stigma amongst you black men in order to get other women to push away. And the more women they can get pushed away allows them more opportunity to get a hold of you. Now the second reason why they do this is because of superiority. These women do this because of superiority. They go out there, and again, they go out and they push out this content about you black men. And then the moment you do it to them, it's a problem. They even come up with techniques to where they even came up with a technique in which if you, as a man, go out and you criticize women, you have not only women, but you have other men come out and they'll come towards you and then they'll try to attack you to get you to be quiet. That's superiority. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole list because I want to keep this video as short as possible, but y'all get where I'm coming from. All you got to do is place this on their lap and pretty much explain to them their how their characteristics match what you see on this list, and that's pretty much what it is. This is the reason why a lot of you women have problems in your relationship. There's a level of narcissism that you put out to your partner, and he just happened to pick up on it. Now, I know y'all wondering, well, how can this be related back to the slavery days? Well, it's simple. It's simple. Because when you look back at the beginning of slavery, there was someone who was pretty much running they were running they was building the structure of America. But when they were building the structure of America, they had to come up with this type of labor that enforced people to go out there and do certain things in order to get to a certain level of to build a foundation to which they can build on. These individuals had to go out there and they had to force people to go out there and work. They look down on these. They look down on these laborers, what you will call slaves. And it wasn't these white women. It was these white men. When you look at this list and you think about the white men who were slave masters, even the white man today, and I'm not talking about all of them. I'm not talking about all of them, but I am talking about them. They're the majority of them. If you place this on their lap, if you place this list on their lap, you will see, they'll see that they'll fall in line with a lot of this or what you see right here on this list. They'll fall in line with it. If you work around white men or you hang around them, all you have to do is stand back and just stand back and think about it. Just stand back, and if you know some white men in your job, just sit back and think about them, and then just go by each one by one, and just go by this list, and you will find that you'll have a few of them that match exactly what you see on this list. Because see, you have to understand, we always focused on, we as black people, what we do is we focus on the current day in which we have black people do certain things. And what we'll do is we'll tie that in. And somehow we'll go back through history and we'll tie that in to the inception of slavery. The reason why we do what we do today goes back to slavery. And what we'll do, we have coined the term post-traumatic slave syndrome. So if we can sit there and say that a lot of things that we do today correlates to what went on back then during that time in America, then shouldn't you be able to say the same thing about white people today? The reason why white people move and operate in certain ways today, you can correlate that back to their ancestors back then during the slavery days. I mean, that's fair to say. And that being said, again, just think about some white guy that you work with in your job or in your neighborhood that you know, and go through this list. I'm telling you, you can find some characteristics. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, again, when you look back during those days of America, those dark days, you had something that was going on that's not taught in schools. They don't teach these in schools. They don't teach this in schools. But you had certain behaviors that was going on back then. You had the relationship of a white slave master and a black woman. You had these plantations where you had the slave master and you had his wife, but what he'll do is behind closed doors, he'll have a slave, a female slave from out in the fields or in the house. They'll go up to a damn room, go to his room or wherever the hell inside the house, and then they'll just, do what they do. They'll do what they do. Now, I want y'all to understand this because I want you to see how all this ties in to narcissism. But I want y'all, I'm gonna put this out right now. When you think about back then, when that stuff used to go on in these slave masters' homes, his wife, the white woman, knew about it, but she couldn't say anything about it. But also, the black male slaves knew about it, and they couldn't say anything about it. Now, this white guy and this female slave, they knew that. They both knew that. But, and I'm going to show you how that comes up. Later on in the video, I'm going to bring that up again. But, you have this black woman sleeping with this white slave master. Now she's sleeping with them. Now they create an emotional bond. They create an emotional bond so much so that there were times when, and again, they don't teach this in schools, but there were times when the slave master's wife will pass away. She'll be dead and long gone. And what the slave master would do is he'll create this will. Now, in his will, he had it to where if he was to pass away, his wife would get charged. She'll get the stake of the plantation. But now she's gone, so he has to change the will. He has to give someone ownership of that plantation. He had to give someone the ability to oversee the slaves while he's buried, and he's just dead and gone. And what he did was he gave that ownership, those rights, to that woman that he was laying up with, that black woman. And again, there's an emotional attachment between that white man and that black woman. And we all know how the chain of command works. We all know how the chain of command works in any job. When you're a supervisor or a senior supervisor, it's your job to teach someone below you. It's your job to teach them exactly how to think at the level or where you're currently at, how to make decisions, how the process works, what type of traits they're supposed to have when they take over the rings once you leave. You're supposed to teach all that. Now, it's the same thing back then, because that slave master had to leave the rights of that plantation to that black woman. He had to teach that black woman how to operate. Now, again, when you look at this list, you can, and again, just think about a guy that you know and compare this list with that guy's characteristics. And again, a lot of that you can go back into the inception of slavery, because it's all been passed now. That being said, whatever you see on this list is the same thing that this slave master either intentionally or unintentionally taught to this black woman. He taught this. And when it comes down to the black culture, when you talk about this post-traumatic slave syndrome, you have to understand it's the same concept. A lot of the stuff we do today, you can correlate that back to the slavery days. That being said, the reason why black women's relationships are not working the way they're supposed to is because in a lot of these relationships, these black women, they have the mindset of a slave master. They have the mindset of a slave master. And I want y'all to understand this. This is how much narcissism has become prevalent in the black community from the white community when it comes down to the psychology of the slave master. I want y'all to understand this. Because when you look at the black community, you have a bunch of black men to show their loyalty to these women. Not only they'll take up for these women anytime these women are going out there doing something goofy, but they're giving these women labels that these women haven't even earned. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about the term queen. These men walk around here and call these women queens, and there's nothing that's gonna see. The reason why I say it is because when you think about it, you call a woman a queen. What does that mean? Is that supposed to be some psychological? Is that supposed to be some type of psychological reversal type of trick or something? If you call a woman a queen, she's gonna start acting nice. Because if that's your logic, it's not working. It's not working. You have women on Facebook, TikTok doing all kind of goofy ass stuff, and you have men still calling them queens. Do y'all realize that when you call a woman queen, it's like calling her a slave master? It's no different. Calling a black woman a queen is no different from calling a white man a slave master. Because back in the days when your ancestors had to call these slave masters master, they expected that. They expected that. And it's the same thing with these women. These women expect you to call them queens. Just like them white guys didn't earn anything. They didn't do anything to earn the goddamn the name a master. Calling someone a master is belittling. It's dehumanizing to the guy who has to, or to the woman who has to sit there and identify that person by that. And it's the same thing with queens. Y'all don't understand how belittling. Y'all don't understand how dehumanizing you look when you call a woman a queen. You don't understand that. They expect you to call them that. Y'all gotta excuse me. You got some goddamn firefighters that's going down the damn road, man. It's too much activity where I live at. It's way too much activity. I can't get no privacy whatsoever. Not even in my own home. I think I mentioned this in my last video. I got construction going on in the back of my fucking home. That's why I try to do videos in the car. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. But yeah, like it doesn't. The word queen doesn't mean anything. All you're doing is just putting them in a higher status. You're feeding into their narcissism, the same way as our ancestors did to these white guys. When they had to call these white guys masters, they fed into their narcissism. Now, I brought up the situation in which you had the slave master and you had the black female slave, and you had the white woman and the black man who had to ignore all that. And what in the actual hell? The hell they doing, a damn drill? Damn. They're doing your ass shit somewhere else. Shit annoying. But anyway, damn, the second time I got interrupted. Shit. I'm not editing this video. Fuck that. Damn. But anyway, you have the black. Hold on, y'all. I think it's about to happen again. I'm gonna go ahead and start. But you about to hear that goddamn noise again because another truck is about to take off from the station. Jesus Christ. Shit. But then, hi, this fucked up my whole damn video. But anyway, you have again, you have the white guy, the white slave master and the black woman, and you have the white woman and the black man. They have to see that and not call it out. But it's the same thing happening today. Same thing is happening today. You have these movies where you'll have these situations where you have an interracial relationship. And by the end of the movie, from the beginning of the movie, by the end of the movie, you're going to have this relationship where you have a black woman and a white man. Somewhere down the line, they're going to, at some moment, they're going to kiss. They're not going to end that movie without those two kissing. They're just not. You can't name not one movie where you have a white man and a black woman together, and throughout the entire movie, from the beginning to the end, they do not kiss. They're going to make sure that's put into that movie. They're going to make sure they put that into that movie. And you know what? You know what? They're putting it into that movie with no regards to what the white woman thinks and what the black man thinks. Now, let me ask you this. When's the last time you see a white guy, or when I say white guy, I mean the white guy with the mindset of his ancestors, you know, the slave masters. When's the last time you see one of those white guys and a black woman accept a visual like that, where you have a movie where you have a black man with a white woman, and throughout the movie, from the beginning to end, if there's a moment in the movie, if they're lucky enough to where there's a moment in the movie they're able to see one of those scenes take place, how often do you see them accept that? They won't accept it. They would not accept it. They would not accept it. A lot of these white guys don't like seeing a black man with one of their women. They just don't. But they'll be the same ones that will not. They'll be the same ones that will tolerate a black woman with a white man. And it's the same thing with these black women. These black women do not like seeing a black man with a white woman. But these same black women would cheer if they see a black woman with a white man. And the reason why they think like that, because they learned that from that white guy. They learned that from that white guy. It's just like the white man in today's society. A lot of the ways they think goes back to that white guy in their lineage. This is the reason why you as a black woman, this is the reason why your relationships don't work. Because when you try to build a relationship with a black man, at some point you're going to start looking at that black man and treating that black man the same way as that white slave master used to look at him and treat him back then during the inception of America. And the reason why is because your ancestors, the ones that slept with these white guys, they learned that. And because they've learned that, they passed that down. Generations through generations through generations, and now it done linked up to you. Any black man can look at this list and go through it and compare it to the relationships he had with other black women and be like, you know what? That's exactly what it was. It was narcissism. It was narcissism. The only reason why you don't think it is because you are a narcissist. You don't think you're wrong. You can't be wrong. Everything is somebody else's fault. All the problems going on in your life is everybody else's fault. It's not no coincidence that majority of you black women are single. It's no coincidence. The reason why y'all going through this, and again, it's prevalent. And the reason why it's prevalent is because it's been passed down. And again, I'm going to make a video on this, but I'm going to relate it to the mind of a black man. Because a lot of you black men, y'all going through narcissism as well. Y'all going through narcissism as well, and on the next video, I'm going to explain how that's so. I'm going to explain how that's so. But this is what it is. This is what it is. I mean, you have black women out there on YouTube that are creating content in which they are criticizing black men, and to a point to, again, just like I said at the beginning of the video, they're putting out this image to all other women that black men are nothing. They're just trash. But then at the same time, when these black men, like these passport bros, are going out there trying to live their life, they're also, these same black women are also criticizing that. So it's like, which one is it? Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle. But then when I think about it, it's just like what I said in my other video when I talk about the passport bros. What black women want you to do is they want you to stand in a fucking corner, and they want you to stand there and wait until they come back to you after they don't have their fun. They want to come back, they want to go out there and have their fun. They want you to wait. They want you to stand there and watch them and wait. And as they go out there and have their fun, the moment they get tired, and the moment they get tired of giving themselves off to other men, They want to come back to you, and they want you to take back what's left over. That's some sick ass shit. But of course it's sick ass shit, because why? Is because it is a level of narcissism. A level of narcissism. And the more you women don't realize this, the more y'all don't recognize this, this black on black relationships are going to continue to suffer. It's never going to improve. But again, be on the lookout for my next video. I'm gonna do a part 2, and the part 2 is gonna be on the narcissism of black men. So be on the lookout for that. Hey, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel. All right, please subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up, pass it on. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you next time. Peace.